How do you fix Jalin Hyatt? How do you go from the best wide receiver in college to an afterthought on one of the worst teams in the league? See, I don't think there's anything wrong with Jalin Hyatt. The Giants just need a quarterback and a head coach that gives a damn about developing his players. You can't tell me there's not a role on the Giants for Jalin Hyatt. He has a skill set. Utilize it. Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. Make the Giants great again. You see it. Make the Giants great again. And you know one way that you can make the Giants great again? Developing your players. Developing your players. How many times have we seen players leave the New York Giants? And it's not just this regime. But how many times have we seen players leave the New York Giants and become better, have better careers? We've seen it a few different times. Will Hernandez did it. Eric Flowers kind of did it. You know, Evan Ingram is doing it. Like, there's Ben Bredesen looks better with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why when players leave do they end up being serviceable when we were ready to throw them away? And that brings me to my point of Jalin Hyatt. Mr. Jalin Hyatt, right? A lot of fans right now, don't tell me you're not hearing it. A lot of fans are ready to get rid of Jalin Hyatt, to call him a bust, label him a bust. And I can say that I can't argue with the stats. I can't argue with the numbers. A lot of people, that's all they depend on are numbers. Answer me this. When you were watching these New York Giants games, where was Jalin Hyatt? Especially this season. Was he on the field? Was he getting targets? Was he getting the snaps? The answer is no. The answer is absolutely not. He was not on the field enough to even try to get the kind of numbers that we expect him to get. But there's a couple of reasons why. He's just not good enough to play. He can't run the route tree is what they keep telling me. We knew that when we drafted him, that he couldn't run the entire route tree. That's something that the kids have been working on every summer. We see him put in the work. I will say this, though. When we want to use Jalin Hyatt, or we make a conscious effort to use Jalin Hyatt, or if we're forced to use Jalin Hyatt, guess what? The kid makes plays. When you target him, he's going to catch the ball. That's what I learned from Jalin Hyatt. I think I think the biggest issue with with this offense for the most part is consistent quarterback play. That's one thing I would agree with our head coach, Brian Daboll. When he talked about that Colts game and we put up that magical 45 points, one thing he did say that is true. He said, this is what it looks like when you have good quarterback play. And when's the last time the New York Giants had good quarterback play? Guess what, too, though? Good quarterback play also helps the offensive line. And with that being said, if you have a quarterback that helps the offensive line that helps the quarterback, then you can do more things on the outside, especially when we're talking about a receiver with a skill set of going deep. Pause. Now, for me, I know that's not the only he's more than just a 9-route, go route receiver. We've seen it. We've seen it in the Carolina game this year. Short crossing routes, dig routes. He did that. His best game of the season, 4 targets, 4 catches. I feel the same way about Daniel Bellinger, another guy that we pretty much drafted. He got hurt, but he showed us a little bit in his rookie season. Actually, a lot of bit in his rookie season. We go ahead and pick up Darren Waller. We put our draft pick on the back burner for a 30-year-old tight end. And then what we do after that, we drafted over him with another tight end. And he becomes an afterthought as well. Meanwhile, you have some skillful players on the bench that can't even get the targets or the time or the snaps to be productive. And that's one of my biggest issues when it comes to the New York Giants and when it comes to Jalin Hyatt. There's nothing wrong with Jalin Hyatt. You don't have to fix Jalin Hyatt. He's not broken. Can Jalin Hyatt get better? Can he get better? Can he become a better route runner? Absolutely. But he's not broke because we knew what he was when we drafted him. We knew exactly what we were getting. We knew exactly what we wanted. We wanted a deep threat, and by any means, by all means, Jalin Hyatt is still a deep threat. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is defenses don't respect our quarterback play. They don't respect our offense. They don't respect our scheme enough for these guys to get the respect they deserve on the outside. And the funny thing about it is this: Giants fans, not everybody, but a lot of us will say, he's just not good enough. He's just not good enough. Jalin Hyatt is not good enough. He's a bust. But you know what I see when I see him lined up on the field, the few times that I saw him lined up on the field when I'm watching these actual games, the cornerbacks still back up. They talk, oh, he can't get off the press. That might be true right now. But the funny thing is, when I watch a lot of Jalin Hyatt plays, he's not really getting pressed too much. They back up because they're scared of getting beat deep. He hasn't affected a game in an entire season, really. But safeties still pay attention to him. That goes to show me the respect that the defensive coordinators of these other teams have for somebody like Jalin Hyatt. And it's, guess what? It's fresh in their minds, right? It's fresh in their minds. A lot of these organizations, they scout the same players. They talk about the same players. It wasn't just the New York Giants scouting Jalin Hyatt and saw his skill set and knew what he was. No, we saw Dallas Cowboys wide receiver coach talking to him, telling him about his strengths. But when I watch Jalin Hyatt get in the game, I see the defense react to Jalin Hyatt, and it's crazy to me because for us New York Giants fans, he hasn't done much. He's a bust. He can't run a route tree. But other teams still feel like he's a threat. Other teams still pay attention because they don't want to get beat deep. So you tell me. You tell me. Is Jalin Hyatt broken? Because you looked at his stats or you looked at the box score and you saw 0 targets, 0 catches, 0 yards. So you automatically believe this man's broken, or he's standing or sitting on the sideline. We've seen it too many times for me to actually believe that. I'm not a fool for this anymore. Like, I saw what Daniel Bellinger was able to do his rookie season. I saw what Jalin Hyatt was able to do his rookie season as well. He didn't score a touchdown, but you saw what kind of targets he was getting in his rookie season. I saw how he played with Tyrod Taylor. I saw how he played with Tommy DeVito. We're talking about the Patriots game, the Green Bay game, the Arizona game with Daniel Jones. We see it. I understand it. I know what I'm looking at. So now we get into free agency right around the corner, right? A lot of people keep saying, oh, the New York Giants need to either draft a receiver or sign a big name wide receiver. And I'm just thinking about it, sitting back and wondering, imagine if they actually took the time in the second year to develop, get a scheme for Jalin Hyatt. No, what happened was you got Malik Neighbors and you made everything about Malik Neighbors. Rightfully so. He is your franchise wide receiver. He's your wide receiver one. But you see what happens when you treat the team like individuals. This guy's not doing this to help this guy, or at least we're not getting a good enough quarterback play to even see it. But you can't tell me that there's no role for Jalin Hyatt. You can't tell me that he's not a 600, 800-yard receiver. There's no way possible that you can tell me that. I know the stats are saying that, but again, he's not playing. Brian Daboll has decided, and again, Brian Daboll has not made the best decisions. We remember when he first got here, what did he do with Darius Slayton? What did he do with the only wide receiver that we had that was worth a damn? What did he do? He almost benched him the first 5 games of the season. Darius Slayton took it on the chin, came out, and still performed for the New York Giants. And now we're sitting here talking about Jalin Hyatt might not be good. A lot of people will tell you, a lot of Giants fans will tell you Darius Slayton might not be good. But guess who's going to get good money on the market? Darius Slayton. And why is that? Because people see what's going on with these wide receivers outside of the scheme. Outside of the New York organization, outside of the fan base, there's value placed on a guy like Darius Slayton because they know what his skill set is. And he's good at doing that. So when you sit here and you tell me that Jalin Hyatt, former wide receiver of the year in college football, Biletnikoff winner. You tell me that Jalin Hyatt, that guy, what was it, 15 touchdowns in college his last year there, 5 touchdowns against the Alabama Crimson Tide. You telling me this guy's not good enough to get playing time on one of the worst teams in the league? Is laughable. It's laughable. And the only proof that I have is when he is targeted, when they're forced to play him, because I don't know why they don't want to play him, but when they're forced to, I do know why they didn't want to play him, because they were coaching for their lives still. So you know what they decided to do? They decided to go with the sure thing with Darius Slayton. Meanwhile, you probably know that Darius Slayton might not come back. And you don't bother playing Jalin Hyatt more. In a season that was lost, you don't bother playing Jalin Hyatt more. Why? Because you're chasing wins for a season that was already lost, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But guess what? The New York Giants do have some players. Hopefully, Brian Dable is the guy that puts everything together. But if you got a wide receiver room with Malik Neighbors, Jalin Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson, to me, that's a good start. The only problem is there's question marks around Jalin Hyatt because we haven't played him enough. Don't mess up again. Don't let another drafted player go somewhere else and have a good career. How about you not do that, New York Giants? How about we don't do that? How about we stop that and look at the players that we have right now and say, you know what? I know how I can get this guy on the field. I know how I can scheme this guy open. Because guess what? The better that Hyatt plays, the better Malik Neighbors would be. The better that Hyatt plays, the better Wan'Dale Robinson would be. And here's another thing when it comes to Wan'Dale Robinson. He's not even being played to the best of his ability or the best of his skill set. We got a real problem when it comes to these New York Giants, man. And it's not just the players. It's a development thing. It's a coaching thing. It's a scheme thing for sure. And everybody, in my opinion, is operating out of fear, and we need to change that. Because until we can draft players, develop players, groom our own players, the Giants will never be great again. You see what I did there? But that's going to be the video. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.